Right on? Yeah? We're live.
Yeah.
We're live?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
It is? Yeah, okay. Good. Okay, so I want to tell you one thing that might help you to stay on track. It's called the 3R technique. Okay, so someplace you gotta make a note of this. You seen what I got on the board there? You see it there? 3R technique? Everyone's got that? Okay. So let's pretend that you're in the middle of the questions and they interrupt you or they answer the question. Let's say you ask them whatever. When did you first start thinking of selling? And I think it's on already, Peter, if you want to double check. But they are trying to, they don't mean it, but they're getting you off track. How do we stay on track? We could ignore them. Right? They ask a question and we just ask the next question. You could, but that may not come across the best. You know, they may say, you may be in question 10 or whatever. I don't know what question 10 is off the top of my head. But you ask it, they go and answer it, and then they say, oh, by the way, I was just curious, what do you charge? And we're not in the spot right now to talk about that. So we might use the 3R technique to be able to stay on track. I'll tell you how that works again in a second. And we'll talk about it next week as well. You might be previewing the property, and they may ask you how fast can you sell the house, or what kind of marketing plan do you have? And for you to stop and jump ahead or move back and forth, it's going to be distracting, it's going to be all messy. So you can use the 3R technique that I'll explain in a second and how to stay on track. You could be in the marketing plan, and they may start asking you questions about price. It's pretty hard to talk about price in your marketing plan, that's the next step. So you might use the 3R technique to stay on track. The 3R technique goes like this. Whenever they ask you something that's maybe a step or two later, you will repeat what they said. You will reassure them that we will get to it, and you'll tell them when, and resume where you left off. So you can write that down. It's called the 3R technique. I'll just move out of the way for a second. It is one of the most powerful techniques you'll ever use. So let's just go back to those scenarios I mentioned. One, you ask them a question, and it has nothing to do with commissions. And then they turn around and ask you, well, how much do you charge? Well, it sounds like commissions are pretty important to you. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, when I get to the net sheet in the pricing segment in step 4, I'll actually go over that. Fair enough?
Yes.
Yes.
So if you don't mind, let me continue on with the next question. Sounds good?
Yes.
So there. Now, you're previewing the property and they say, you know, what do you think our home is worth, right? Well, I know that's important to you, and I still need to see a little bit more of the property. When we get back, we'll go over the marketing plan, but right after that I have some comparables to show you, and we'll dig into the price then. So for now, can you continue showing me around the house? And they'll say, sure. Do you see the power of the 3R technique, you guys?
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It works great on your kids. It's just so powerful, maybe even on your spouse. You know, you're in the middle of something and then they interrupt you. So I know that's important to you. No, we just hang tough, we're going to get to it here. So if you don't mind, let me finish this, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's just so, it sounds so simple when I put it into that family perspective, but it's so simple, maybe it's too simple because realtors won't do it on their appointments. They get, customer asks something, they stop everything. Hey, okay, let's sit down, figure this out right now. You know, it's like, it just turns into a mess. Does that make sense?
Yes.
3R technique. Okay. So what step did we just finish?
3.
3. So we're on step 4, which is about what?
Price and estimate.
Price and what?
Estimate of net.
Price and ooh. Price and what?
Estimate of net.
Ooh. Let me hear it again. Price and what? Ooh. Not net sheet. Ooh. Now you can call it a net sheet after you give me a big ooh. Okay. So this is where you say, you turn the page and there's a net sheet. It looks like that. Everyone's got one there?
Yes.
And this is where the first thing you say is, you turn the page, the net sheet shows up, you look at them and you go, now let me show you how most successful sellers pick the right price. I want you to turn to the person across from you, and one of you say it first, and then the next person say it. But do that right now.
Now let me show you
Now
how
let
the
me show
most
you how
successful
successful
sellers
pick the
pick the right price.
Aren't you guys gonna do it?
Let me.
Just do it.
Now let me say I'm most successful.
Now let me show you.
Okay, everybody get a chance to say it? Let's say it all together.
Pick the right.
Ready? After 3. 1, 2, 3. Let me show you how most successful sellers pick the right price.
Right price.
And you tap on the folder on the desk, which is what color?
Yellow.
Yellow. I mean, you can use different colors. I'm just saying, you know, I've always taught it that way. Yellow for sellers, blue for buyers. You could use green and red, I guess, but, you know, it's whatever. I'm just going to stick with my colors I mentioned for the training. Fair enough?
Yeah.
So, next week, I'm going to show you the method of presenting price, where you're going to take out the comparables, you're going to slide it over to them, and you're going to have a yellow highlighter. I'm going to show you how to highlight certain things on the comparables. You're going to show them and compare it to their house, and they're going to actually almost every time come up with a price. And if they won't, you will actually say, walking through them, this one sold for this, but this one has this and it doesn't have that, or it has this and you don't, you know, da-da-da. We'll show you all that. And then you finally come up with a price. And it may not be what they wanted, but you'll say to them, listen, since this price is what the sales are saying, you know, in the area, what the price range your home should be in, the banks look at this, other realtors look at this, buyers look at this stuff, right? So let's do a net sheet based on that. So make a note of that if you need to. The net sheet is based on retail value or the value of the comparables, not on their wishful thinking. Everybody clear on that?
Yes.
So let's talk about the net sheet. So let's imagine we have the price now, because remember, that's all of next week's lesson. Fair enough? Yes?
Sorry, what did you say, retail value and?
I don't know.
Net sheet is a retail value.
Retail or market value, yeah, market value.
Wishful
Yeah,
thinking.
okay. I get on a flow and I say a bunch of stuff and it all, you know, I'm 20 years of doing this, all sounds good. Somebody says, what did you say? And I'm like, I don't know. You know,
I said it too good.
but I think it was something like that, right? Retail or market value or
Yes.
comparable value or something. And that's what the bank sees. It's an influence on the appraiser even, believe it or not. It's an influence, the sales in the area, even an influence on the city value, the tax value. You know, so let's pretend that we've already taught you lesson 5 just for a moment. You all have sat down with the seller and you guys agreed on a price. Or a price that we agreed that retail is that. They may say, I still want higher. And that would depend on, next week I'll teach you, it would depend on how much time they have. And depends if the market's going up or down. So that's next time. Who's coming back, by the way? 1, 2, oh, all of you, okay, good. So, let's use this worksheet as if it's you. So put your name on it, put today's date, put in your address, and I'm come over and we figured out that your house is worth, and even if your house is worth more than what I say, or less, just put in the same numbers as what I say. Can we do that? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, let's put in 500,000. Average sale price in Calgary is a little less than that, but some of you, 500 is an easy number to work with. So write in 500,000 for the list price. As soon as you wrote it in, put up your hand.
What's the
Okay?
date?
List price,
Date,
500,000.
November 9th.
Okay. Nope.
Okay?
Who would get
Got it.
the
Show him where list price is. He looks like he's just looking. Can you show him there? Somebody show him. Did you write it down?
Yeah.
List price?
500,000.
500,000. Okay?
I'd be okay.
Now I want to ask you guys, what is the most expensive thing you have to take off so they can figure out their net? Commissions? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, because commissions are always higher than their mortgage, yes?
Mortgage.
Okay, so their mortgage, yeah, the mortgage would be less than commissions,
No.
right? No. Oh, wow. So why do you think that we all thought, if we didn't say it, he's the one that said it, but the rest of us were thinking it. Why do you think all of us were thinking the most expensive thing is commissions? Why do you think everyone was thinking that?
Thinking of ourselves.
Well, I think it's, I actually used to have what you should take off on here, and I used to have it on the sheet. But I noticed that when I asked what's the most expensive thing, you're not saying something unique. Almost every class, realtors always say the most expensive thing to take off is the commissions. Like it's this huge amount. And they're always freaking out about it. And it dawned on me, this happened over 15 years ago, it dawned on me that I'm convinced now, I knew it before, but I'm totally convinced now that realtors have more of a problem or an issue with commissions than any seller I ever met.
That's true.
And you guys proved it to me again. And it's true. Because on a $500,000 house, the majority of the people would probably owe about $350. And our commissions, that much?
No.
Okay, so anyways, put in first mortgage is the most expensive thing. And put in how much?
500.
Oh, wow, they're upside down. They owe more than the house is worth. Is that what I said, 500?
350.
I said 350. Okay, we'll talk about upside down in a minute. So, 350. All right. So, what's the most expensive thing most of the time? Mortgage. It almost always is. Now, I guess some people have no mortgage, and the most expensive thing would be the commissions, right? But we just don't want to be all, like, Honestly, by the time you get to this, they're not even thinking of asking you to cut your commissions. On a $500,000, the way your commission structure is here, the most common commission it would be 22 grand on this one, right? Is that right? Yes or no? Yeah? Yes? Nobody wants to give me an answer?
Yes.
Okay, I think it is. What's the next most expensive thing to come off? There's a tricky question for you, because I know you don't want to say commissions, because your trainer will freak out. But, huh?
Huh?
What?
I missed it.
Well, you guys were saying something. I thought I was figuring out what I said. What's the next most expensive thing? Commissions. No, it's not. It's the second mortgage or any liens. Let's say there's nothing on there, so put 0. Everyone's tiptoeing around going, I don't know what I should say. It's okay, we're amongst friends. I know that I'm just a little aggressive up here when it comes to the commission thing. But what's the next most expensive thing to come off?
Second mortgage.
What do you say, Rishi?
No idea.
Oh, he has no idea. Amy? Anybody else? Terry?
What?
What's the next most expensive thing?
Second, a mortgage, liens, or something.
Oh, we already got that on there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, caveat, something.
That's already up there. I mean, it's the same thing.
Commission.
Well, it's gotta be. There's only one space left. Right? Commission. How much of the commission's on 500,000?
22.
22,000. Okay, if you go 3, no, you're right, 3, yeah, it's 19, I think.
19.
Yeah, so it's 3 times 5 is 15 plus 4, 19,000. 19,000. Now, if you're in any other state or province other than here,
19.
what would the commissions be?
Oh, 5%. 2.5.
6.
6%, sorry.
So the commissions would be 30,000. So I want you to cross off
Wow.
that pay cut that you're all taking, and let's go with what every other state and province gets. And give yourself 30 grand. Put that in there right now. Cross it off. Hopefully some of you start getting 6% commissions instead of cutting your commissions so much. Right? So did everyone put 30 grand? Show me your hands if you did. Okay, or who thinks they're not worth it? You're not worth it? Okay, so what's the next thing to take off?
Closing fees.
Closing.
Closing fees.
Closing cost.
Cheating.
Thank you.
Oh.
It's hard to remember all this stuff, eh? What are blank fees? I don't want to say it again because you're going to say ching again. Okay, closing fees. What are they? The consultant's going to ask you. You're going to go, let's take off the closing fees. They're going to go ching? No, they won't. They're going to say, what's that? You're going to say,
Lawyer fees.
lawyer fees? What else?
Disbursement.
That's part of lawyer fees, but anyways.
Tax balances.
We've got a tax thing down there next.
Next.
What else? What else do they have to pay before they can sell? And once they do sell, what do they have to pay for also? Pay for the lawyer. In this province, they have to pay for an RPR. So on your blank piece of paper to the left, you better put down the following. Closing fees are lawyer fees, RPR, and moving costs. Make a note of that. So then they're going to ask you, how much does the lawyer cost? And you're going to say, how much does the lawyer cost? And you're going to say, oh, I have a brochure here actually.
Fees are.
Okay, listen. Listen, all of you need to hear this, it's really important. I'll repeat this one more time for you, and then I'll repeat the second part. Closing fees, ching. Lawyer fees, RPR, moving costs. Okay? And then they're going to ask you how much is the lawyer. Can I tell you what to say?
Yes.
Don't ever say a price.
Yeah.
Don't ever say about $1,000. Don't ever say $800 plus disbursements. Don't ever say that. Say, I have a brochure here. So you need to talk to a lawyer that has a brochure with their fees on it. And you give them the brochure, here you go. And they'll say, well, it looks like this. Say, yeah, according to this guy, then you can talk about some of the prices. But don't you say, because even if the lawyer charges $50 more, guess who they blame for it being over? They blame, not me,
The realtor,
Realtor.
me.
the realtor, yeah. She said it was the trainer again. No, I'm just kidding. General idea is to say to the sellers, if we can put, see, how much is it gonna cost them to move all their stuff? What do you think? They have a house that's 2,000 square feet. What do you think it'll cost?
1,500?
Brochure.
Well, if they use a moving company, it'll probably cost them a few thousand, right?
Yeah.
If they hire friends, pizza and beer, you can double that.
Oh, yeah.
So $5,000, right?
Correct.
And then they laugh. And then you say, well, let's do this. Let's put aside 1% of the list price. So you guys go and put in there the 1%. So the way I'd write it is how much? 5,000. And in brackets, I'd put 1% so you can remember what I just taught you. Okay, everyone got that? Show your hands when you got it.
That's for moving costs?
No, closing fees.
Closing fees.
Lawyer.
$5,000 and in brackets put 1% of list price. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And what if it's like a $2 million house? You're not gonna, they probably don't need 20 grand, but if you did allow 20, I mean, it may cost 10 grand to move their stuff. So if you, about 1% should cover it. Okay, any questions?
No.
Okay, so what's next? It says
Taxes.
other. Put in brackets, prepayment penalty for that, okay?
For what?
For others.
Other.
Oh.
Prepayment penalty. So if somebody sells their place before the term is up, what happens?
Penalty to be paid to lender.
What?
Penalty to be paid to lender.
If somebody's mortgage payment is $2,000 a month and they broke their terms,
3 month interest.
probably about 3 months of interest, and the interest is probably almost the same as the mortgage payment.
Correct. So 3 months.
So probably about 6 months. Put 0 in there for now, we've hit our term, so we're good. But make sure you know what that is, okay? And what's next? I missed taxes, by the way.
Yes.
Taxes is property taxes. Put 0 because we're PIT. So put in brackets PIT. So put 0 PIT. And what is PIT? Principal,
Interest,
interest,
taxes.
taxes. So they're paying their taxes monthly. So when they move, there's no adjustments. If it was just PI, that's where people pay their yearly taxes in June. It pays it up to December.
Yep.
And depending on, excuse me, depending on what month, there could be an adjustment to the buyer or to the seller. So that's why I just went with PIT with you guys, because we don't have to try and figure out something right now. When that does happen, your clients may have to pay $500 or $800 to the buyer because they didn't pay their taxes yet. Maybe it's in May. Or if it's in November, then the buyers would have to give something back to the seller for the last few months of the year, right? Okay. Now what I want you to do is add all that up. Do the subtotal and tell me what it is.
Should we use 19 or 30?
30. Even if you guys aren't going to get 6% and you're going to go with what seems to be unfortunately more common here, I still want you to be aware of the fact that I want you to be, listen up, you're aware of the fact that you should be charging 6 like everywhere else in North America. So what's the amount?
385.
385. Okay, so you got 385 here as a subtotal. Okay, go and put the list price here, 500, put the 380 something here. I highlighted this. Put the, did you say 385?
Yeah.
Okay, put that in there, and then write in the net and tell me what it is.
150.
Yeah. Now you can always put it back in here with 115, of course, but here you got 115. Now, here's a tip also. When you do the net sheet, I want you to do 2 of them. Make a note of that. How many?
2.
2.
2.
2.
2.
When you finish the pricing, and you pull out the net sheets from the back of your book, because this page is laminated. You're clear on that. Hey, page 12 is, all those pages are laminated. You're not going to use them, you're just using them to stay on track. you're gonna pull out 2 net sheets, hand one to them and one to you. And both of you are gonna do these numbers together. Then you're gonna ask them to add it up, and you're gonna add it up. And if it's the same, you get the owner to sign it or initial it on his, and then you initial or sign yours. And then you switch, and you say, okay, give me yours, I'll put it in the file, and here, keep mine, and you keep that one. That's what you're gonna net. And then when you finish doing that, you'll say, so we've confirmed that you get 115,000 bucks. So, you think we should look at him and say, is that enough? What do you think?
No.
No, because it's never enough. Instead, what you do is you ask them the best closing question.
To
Change.
And you just say, any questions? And if they say no, then you move on. What do we do next? What's the next step? What is it?
Relisting.
Huh?
Explain
Explain
the
Explain the
Forms.
forms. Right. You know, trying to get you to participate. You're doing not bad. You have your moments though, but you're not bad. But back on this pricing thing again. It's like we did the negotiating in advance. Because we did the retail market value. They may even still get you to list it higher than 500, which is not a good idea if it's worth 500. But if you do, if somebody comes in around 500, you might be able to take the net sheet out to show them that they're still getting 115 at this price that we talked about originally. Isn't that powerful?
Yes.
It's like doing the negotiating in advance. So, let's see. You want to have the listing presentation, or excuse me, the net sheet available upon presenting an offer. And I'm going to show you how to use that in lesson 8, where the net sheet helps you to put a deal together. So do you understand what I said? This is like doing the negotiating in advance?
Right.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah, what you did was said it's worth 500, it should sell for 500, this is what you're going to net.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's the negotiating in advance. In fact, some people think they have to be at 525 to net 100,000. Then you did the net sheet at 500 and then at 115 and they go, I thought I would get less. So I guess I can go under 500 grand. Because nobody else at all is going to do a net sheet with them.
Yeah.
Nobody does in the industry except that 5%, those elite ones. So you need to do it. They deserve it. Doesn't your client deserve to get the net?
Yes.
Yeah, so turn to the person beside you and say, I'm going to do that.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna do that.
You know?
Yeah, you.
So now we're on page what, 12?
Yep.
What's a visual reminder to tell you it's time to explain the forms? Maybe it's just a form, and maybe the listing agreement form. Maybe you just have a copy of the listing agreement form and you laminate it, okay? But what I'd like to do now is, since we're going to explain the forms, let's give you a checklist for your folder. What do you got to put in your folder? What color is it?
Yellow.
Yellow.
So what's stapled on the inside cover? That's number 1.
Call for.
Well, first of all,
Process.
write on a blank piece of paper, or a blank, you know, don't use blank paper, always use your manual, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so put down a folder checklist to start with. Number 1, yellow folder. Number 2, staple the call form to the inside cover. That's the second thing. Staple the what?
Call for.
To the inside.
Cover.
Okay, so what's the next thing? If we were to look at a folder that was complete here right now, and I flipped open the page, I would see the call form with all that info.
Yeah.
I'm on a listing appointment.
Yeah.
And the first thing I'd see sitting here,
Is a sales
be what is
Sales
process.
process.
title.
Oh.
So number 3, pull title. You have to pull title before you go on any appointments. Title search. How much that cost?
$10.
Where do you find it?
Spin.
Spin.
It's been 2.
Spin 2.
Okay, you got that?
Yes.
What's the next page? If I flip title, now title we have to look to make sure that, you know, everything's on the up and up, right?
Right.
See what their original loans were, see if there's any liens on it, see if they're right. If you don't pull title just to see if you're gonna get paid, at least pull title so you put the right names on the contracts.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Boy, I'm getting a little loud there, aren't I? But I just, you know, like I see so many people with unprofessionalism in this business that I'm just saying, oh, I don't want to spend $10. Oh, come on, man. Like, did you actually say that? Like, give me a break. Pull title, you're going on an appointment, you're going to make thousands of dollars, right?
Yes.
And then the next page you should see, you turn the page, and guess what you should see next? It's okay if you give me the wrong answer, let's just hear
Sales
something.
process?
Tax roll from GeoJet,
Huh? Oh.
okay? Go to GeoJet. Where's that? It's on the Calgary Real Estate Board site.
Yeah.
With
Yes.
Right beside Spin 2, got GeoJet right there.
Yes.
You click on it, put in the address, click down to what the tax, right? Taxes, $4,000 a year. Oh, and it's worth $487,000. And it's usually about 5% less than what it's really worth if it's in normal condition. Usually, but it gives you an idea at least, right?
Yes.
Okay, just an idea. It's not gonna be using it to price it. Well, if you could, that'd be better, because you'd probably get multiple offers even in a slow market. Just so you know. Okay, then we turn the page, and guess what's next?
Sales process.
No bad answer, but I'll tell you if you're wrong. Now, you're not wrong in the sense that it shouldn't be in there, but it may be in the wrong order to what I'm teaching, that's all. But you got
CMA?
sales process,
Process.
that's not in, you don't put any of the listing presentation in your folder.
CMA?
None of it, okay? Your listing presentation is gonna be in a book by itself, or it's gonna be on your computer,
Right.
okay?
CMA?
So we'll get to that in just a second. So we have our book here, plus we have our folder over here. So don't get confused. And we don't even do anything with the folder until we almost get to step 5. That's when we, but when we're doing the questions, we have it open because we'll put more answers on the call form, right? And when we're talking about things, we're tapping it, stuff like that, but we're staying on track. Now it's time to explain the forms. Now, we've got title. You gotta have title for yourself. You gotta have GeoJet for yourself, but just leave it in there. The next should be history of the property. History of the property. Okay? We'll be a few minutes over today. Not too much, I don't think. History. Now, how do you get the history?
Matrix?
Go to MLS, put in the address. What if nothing comes up? Then they bought it privately,
Or
or
build.
they built it,
They bought it from builder.
right? But what if they bought it 15 years ago? Will it come up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
If they bought it through MLS? What if it was 50 years ago? Will it come up?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was on MLS, anytime in the history of MLS in your city, it's gonna come up. I want you to print off the highlight sheet. The history highlight sheet is what you're saying. Okay, remember your yellow highlighter that I mentioned? And I want you to go to their highlight sheet. And I want you to highlight the following things. And you know what they are. What's the first 4 things we always use to try and find out the comparable sales in the area? Neighborhood. What else? Style.
Style. Size.
Age, you said? And square footage. That's the
Yes.
first 4. And there may be a couple more.
Yes.
Maybe basement if it's finished, bedrooms, baths, parking, garage, that should be good enough. And then highlight with the yellow highlighter the price that it's sold for. Everyone's got that?
Yes.
Okay, now it sold 15 years ago, it doesn't matter too much, I guess you don't really have to highlight the price it's sold for, but you were gonna ask them what did they pay for it, and so you already know. But the other stuff that's highlighted, when you turn the page, you need to have anywhere from 3 to 5 what?
Comparables?
Comparables. And on all the comparables, you take your yellow highlighter and you highlight what? Neighborhood,
Neighborhood.
style,
Expensive.
age, square footage,
Parking.
bedrooms, bathrooms, basement, finished, parking, garage, sale price. Got that?
Yes.
On all 3 to 5. And when you start presenting, you go, here's one that sold in your neighborhood 2 months ago, start with the lowest price. Okay? See, if you go high and go down, they don't hear any of the lower stuff. If you start here, they'll be disappointed. But we need to be honest with them, yes? You say, so here's yours, and you turn it all to them. Remember that, all to them. Here's, okay, history, and it's upside down, you already read it. So, and here's the other one. So you see, they're both in the same neighborhood. Square footage is similar, but this one has 4 beds. Yours has 3, right? And this one, the square foot is in this now. So, and then you'd say, so what do you think? You don't say, this is a good comparable at this time, or say that this is what you should be priced at, right? And then what did it sell for? Oh, it sold for $487. Yeah, but my house isn't worth $487. Well, this isn't talking about your house right now. This is talking about this house. But we want to see how it compares to your house. So you have, let's look in the comments. You have some upgrades they don't have. Your comments don't say because that's when you bought it. This one here doesn't say that they had new flooring put in. So maybe your house is worth a little more than that $487. So that's a good comparable. Yeah, but I want $525. I know, well, let's look at the other comps. pull out another one, same things are highlighted. And you have a conversation, but you're educating them, because what was that saying? You're gonna show them how most successful sellers pick the right place. So you show them 3, 4, or 5. Now, next week I'll show you about the pricing, how we're gonna, a couple of tools. I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm doing next week's lesson already, so let's just move on past the comps. I gave you a little general idea how we're gonna go do about it next week. What's the next form in there? After the comp. So what do we have first? Folder, call
Yeah.
form, what's next?
Title,
Title,
Geojet.
GeoJet,
history,
history,
Highlight.
comps.
comps,
What's next? Consumer Relations Guide. What's next? FinTrack. Okay? As soon as you finish writing FinTrack on a separate line, put up your hand. Next would be, after exclusive seller representation. Oh, yeah, we'll be done, yeah, not too bad, it'd be about 5-10 minutes over. And what would be after the seller representation? You know this one, I know you can do it. Come on, I said it to you earlier.
The contract.
con,
Which one?
The listing contract.
No, that's the one,
That's what's
but
next.
after that one.
Oh.
After that one.
Net
next,
sheet.
No,
What,
I gave you the answer about 45 minutes ago.
what's the question?
After the seller agreement, what's the next form that's in there? If you ever want to get this form signed really easy, it's a lot easier after the seller
Buyer
representation. Yes, the exclusive buyer representation.
Yeah.
And isn't it interesting how our brains work? Do you guys remember me telling you now?
Yeah.
So remember, the information's in your head.
I mentioned this.
Our brains are amazing. People will say, oh, I forgot, I didn't know that, and they'll say, okay, as soon as I remind you, it just comes to you like this. So that means it was already in there.
Yeah.
So, I think that's about it. You may have something for privacy, might be a privacy thing in some provinces or states and all that kind of stuff, but the general idea, let's go through our checklist. What color is the folder?
Yellow.
What's on the inside cover?
Call form.
What's the first page?
Title.
Title, second?
Taxes.
Tax roll, third?
history,
History of the property, next?
comps,
Comps?
consumer relations,
Consumer or work with a realtor?
Yeah.
fin,
FinTrack, get ID, exclusive seller representation, and exclusive buyer representation. Pretty cool, huh?
oh yeah.
And you have that, and every single thing, make a, right across the bottom, put pre-print everything in advance. Or fill in everything in advance. So all the forms have their name. You have the commissions put in advance, their address, everything, and if there's something that gets changed, it's easy. You cross it off, change it, and they initial. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, if you want to put in 6%, you'd be surprised. I'd love to see some of you put 6%, offering 3, then you go to your net sheet, you say the commissions are 30, and you do the net, and they go, you any questions? They go, no, it's good. You go, okay.